I would just begin by saying that in May this year, something truly momentous happened here. The 13 clans of the magnificent Ropa River, which is documented here in splendid detail in this cultural map, met 60 traditional owners, met and established what is now known as the Ropa Woda Governance Council, living spirit, living water. And this movement follows decades of work by traditional owners, often backbreaking, very difficult, standing up to water licences, standing up to land clearing applications, land claims, native title claims. And what they've done is nothing short of inspiring. So with that very brief introduction, I'm now going to pass to Mila Werben, who will introduce herself and her background and her country, and talk a little bit about the spiritual connection that she has and her people have to this catchment and to water. Thank you, Milawanga.
Yo, nandawal nogoro larikia. Yaraman bagan, nagunda kapul, wurungo kapul, michindakan. Ngaraban ngarayola. Yo. I pay my respect to the Larikia people in which our conference is happening on their land, and I pay respect to the elders of the past and of the present. And also I respect to the elders that are also here with us, and that the ancestral spirits of the land are also listening to us, talking about the land, water, nature, everything. Yo. My name is Milawanga. I grew up as a traditional woman from child, knowing only the traditional educations that were taught to us by our grandmothers, aunties, mothers, older sisters. Everything that we had were out there. That was our supermarket as well. We knew our Marian, which is the ceremonies, and having that wisdom and knowledge and understanding of the land and of the water and of the animals and the plants. We are actually the keepers of all of this. There has never been a time where we would destroy our own nature. No, that is taboo. In my tribal group, my tribe is actually the Rambaranga people. And we're at the top there. It's where the water runs down towards the Ropa River and out towards the ocean. And all along the river, you have all these tribal groups that we are closely connected to. It's the water that connects us and makes us one. The water you see in the billabongs, the aquifers, springs, rivers, it is a living water. Why? Because we speak to it and it speaks to us. We indigenous people have never had known currency here in Australia. Never ever had currency. The only things that we had, it wasn't a form of money thing, but it was bartering. I'll give you 2 small brims if you give me that big barrel, you know. It was like that. In my tribal group, there is it's like yin and yang. There is the spirituality that we have, it's called Ngalandako. I shared that at the interview yesterday. So Ngalandaku is actually, literally means mother-child. But when we say it, it actually means harmony and balance. So it is what we've been living in, harmony and balance. But we see today there is no harmony and there is no balance whatsoever. So the river that flows down, where from the top of the escarpment, the Rambaranga people, the river flows down from the Goida River. Maybe some of you know where Goida River is. You have to cross it if you're traveling to Nhulunbuy, the bridge. And it goes down towards the Ngalakan people. And then there is another water that comes from the Mountain Valley area. We have Flying Fox River and Minor River that flows towards the Waterhouse River. And Waterhouse River actually flows through Mataranka. The Mataranka, you all know, where it has its thermal pool. They are not what they used to be before. So it's all this water that have been taken and are leaving this big river, the great river, Ropa River, starting point of the Waterhouse towards LC River, where the Mangarai people come from, and out towards Ropa River, joining into Hudson River. All of those rivers, the Wilton River actually comes from the escarpment as well. Wilton River flows through to our next relatives, the Ngalakan people. So in our spirituality, we've always had protocols that we abide by, and that is taking care of the land, the waterways, the animals. We have always been working together with the nature to make everything that has been set in place already for us, and to keep our law going, the law of the land, the law of the water. It has its own song line, own dance line. We sing about the water. It is so sacred to us. The waters I mentioned before in the Billabong, springs, rivers, aquifer, they are actually living water. That water is alive. The water you have now in the bottles and whatnot that we drink, it's not alive. So water to us indigenous people is so sacred and it's significant. One cannot imagine how we are totally and completely connected to it in a way that people cannot understand, including the animals, the plants that we eat from, the fruits and nuts, the yams, all our animals that we eat, the meat. It is not like you can go out there and just get whatever you want. I cannot go, because I'm a weaver, I have to go and get some pandanus. So before I even get the pandanus, I need to call out to the people in our ancestral tribal groups. I have to call out to them and to the spirit, the great spirit which we call Wangar, and say, oh, I'm going to take this pandanus to do my weaving. You know, I pray you bless it. Everything that we take from the land, it recycles itself. So pandanus regrows again. Water, you know, comes back around. Whether it flows out to the ocean, it still comes back around. Everything we have lived with here, everything is recyclable. You have recycles for your tins and your bottles and all of that. We have natural recycling project, you could say, that has been set in place for us. That is why you don't see mess in the bush. And yet when we go and live in the community, you see all the rubbish everywhere. It's because we cannot tackle that rubbish thing. We have to learn how to keep and look after our homes, just like the Balanda people. The other thing that I want to finish off with is our law has never changed. Our law has never been added into. Our law has always stayed the same. In the Western law, you see the governments forever changing the laws and bringing in new laws. While we're looking at the old law that was brought in, they bring a new one. No, it's not like that. There is no harmony and balance in that. Like I said before yesterday, it's like a scale. This is balance and harmony. But in this world we're living in the Western culture, it's like this. So this is where the Western culture is while we're down here. If you want to work with us, and as Sister was saying here, they have to come down to our level so that there will be that balance and that harmony. We have our own laws that we have to abide by. In fact, we have 2 laws that our countrymen has to abide by. Even though we don't know the Western law, but we still abide by that. And we have our own traditional law. And that traditional law is far greater than the Western law, which we have survived since Nayungi. Nayungi means it's timeless. Yo.
I'd now like to invite Rosina to speak a little bit about what she has had to do to bring the voice of the Ropa to all of us here in Darwin, but also down in Canberra, and how hard it's been.
Hello, my name is Rosina. I'm a Mangara elder. And I've been involved with this water fight for 3 years now. Like whenever there's problem with water or meeting, we get asked to come up, or if we want to come. Our land starts at it goes from Garramilla to Warlock. That's the aquifer, runs down to Bitter Spring, and from Bitter Spring it runs down to Elsie Creek, and from Elsie Creek it runs down to our crossing, underwater aquifer that goes into the main river, Ropa River. And from there we come in as the Mangara tribe, Mangara and Youngman. And we own a little bit of area, but until we come to past Maulil, there's Alawa country, so we have to stop there. We got no right. If we want right to go into that land to do activity or anything, we have to speak to that people who own the land to give us permission. Or if we're married in relationship, we're entitled, we can go there. And so it goes on and on and on. This map was one of the maps we took to Canberra. I went with myself, Naomi from Hudson Down, Minyeri, a few girls from Nuka, and a couple of young fellows from Numbula. They had the songline. So we all shared our story. My country went far as Maulil. Somewhere here, somewhere, the Maulil. You looked at far as here we go. And then we have to stop. I'm not going to talk about this area. because I think it was my area. But we worry about the water coming down. If it gets contaminated, it'll spill into the Ropa River, and then it goes right off. Then it'll be poisoned water. So we all the time try and educate our young ones, but some of them are too busy. They like the fun. They call us boring people when we come to meeting, but we're the ones fighting. We're trying to fight hard with this water, and we understand in long term it'll be no good. It will be very hard for everybody. And then the young people are going to turn around and say, we got poisoned water, what are we going to do? Well, that's the way we're trying to educate them before anything happens. Maybe we might be gone, we'll be finished. If this thing keep going, and it's not a fun thing, it's really serious, because we're looking at that aquifer water coming down, and they're doing a lot of cotton growing and fracking. In our country, where we go now, our water's right down. We can't even fish. We chuck line, we pull weeds, and those weeds they smell really bad. We had a couple of scientists down there with us testing the water. They found traces of minerals there, some other minerals. That's why I keep telling my mob, my little family and other mob, you got to stop drinking that water now. Start buying your spring water. You never know. They might find out what's in the water a little bit late. So we had a meeting with some people from down south about a couple of weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago. They came down to the main crossing, and we talked to them about how we like our young ones to monitor that water, but we had no vehicle, we had no equipment. So lately we got funding for that now. So we got money for a vehicle to run around young ones, but it's about who we want to trust. Which company, our rangers or, I don't know. Well, I'm thinking about Mimal rangers. They record everything. They got everything recorded, what they do and how their money is spent. But anyway, that's my story about this river. We just hope one day, I had my young grandson coming with me, but for a while, but then he has to go back at bush, look after his dad's country, Maulil. So I couldn't bring him this time. But I'm just hoping more family will come follow me, Because in our community we got not much elders now. All of our elders gone. The main ones that founder of that place and were custodians, all gone. But they taught me a bit. My grandmother taught me a bit about the land and traditional culture, and that's really good, So every time I go camping out fishing, I tell my kids, grandchildren, and my great-grandchildren. They always listen. They like stories. But they got to get to know more, before the bad thing happens. All right, thank you.
Okay, Mel, we'd love you to come up and talk about the importance of cultural governance of this river and your collective plans for it. Thank you.
My name is Melissa Andrews Uramarpa. I'm originally from Groote Island, where the big mining, yeah. But I live in Nuka because my dad's from Nuka. And, he's from Alawa country. I'm Alawa. Great-grandparents, Kalakan. I'm going to talk a little bit about the cultural governance of Ropa River and the people who were involved at that forum that we had recently. We all need water to live, right? In our traditional law book, which you might not read because it is sacred, we uphold water and it's a need for us culturally. It is a tool that we use for our cultural practice. Our generations use it and learn cultural skills on rivers and oceans. If we lose this, then our culture disappears. It is like burning one side of the library that is full of books on hydrology. Our ancestors were hydrologists, archaeologists, anthropologists, land management experts. Already most of our libraries, them, are gone. We don't want to lose more, because at this stage, we are maintaining and revitalizing out a lot on country. Enough is enough. Our culture is still standing strong through our cultural governance. That is why we have formed a Ropa Woda Governance Council involving all the clan groups from every communities on the Ropa River, representing their homelands and the springs they hold the authority to. All the people on this map doesn't have a picture of them, but they're there living, surviving, with this water. The totems on this map represents us. And they're the ones I'm pointing at now. They are people. This way, we have a group of people with authority who can speak for the river and who the government should come to when they are making decisions about the river. We have the governance system and the decision makers. There's 3 people that we talk to that should be involved in all these decision makings that government come to. They should be coming to these 3 people, but they don't. That's why we're forming this Water Governance Council, sorry, I'm a cultural governance officer, so that everybody can listen, they can hear what's happening, and that when they go back on country, they know what they do, and how they can educate their beginning, as Amri was saying. But we also need people employed on the ground to contribute to evidence and research, like scientists, rangers, and land managers. There is no proper water management. There's land management and sea management, but no river management. We need help to make all this happen. This is what the Governance Council will be asking for, and we are doing it already. It's important that this authority is respected and properly consulted with. It also needs to be funded so we can employ people to help us come together to make these decisions about the rivers. Thank you, that's all from me.
Rosina and I are wearing this T-shirt. We were in tears because they say this is a feral animal, but it's not. Why? Because this dingo has traditional name from our languages. And this dingo actually carries the law itself. Very big law, and is performed in ceremonies at times. You have it in Western Australia, in the Kimberley way, your way, my sister. You have that dingo ceremony down Central Way, and in our area as well. It is very significant. And to see such thing of what was shown yesterday, that was appalling for us. And not only that, we were insulted and we were offended as well. Seeing, this great totem. That is what we are talking about with the river being destroyed. That river, it has ceremony, song, dance that people perform. Hi. It is very sacred. So that is why the dingo, in my language, we call dingo Kururambur. So if it's in my language, then I'm here in Australia, then where did it come from? Thank you.
I'm just going to ask our speakers to stand, and I would love you all to show your appreciation for what they have so generously shared with us all. Thank you.